You know what I was thinking the other day, Wes? Actually, just today.
So it was today, or was it the other day?
It was today. I was walking around. I saw this.
What were you thinking?
Why do we have police horses? Why do we have horseback police officers? Are those horses ever taken off and getting anybody?
There are crevices that the cars can't reach, and the horses...
Has that ever happened? Has a horse ever taken down a
80 years ago?
Yeah. And we have motorcycles now. What's the point of that?
Yeah,
I saw they were in a little trailer in the middle of the city. The horses look miserable.
Yeah,
what are we
everywhere.
doing?
They shit everywhere.
Just shitting in the street. I mean, let's get rid of that.
Pet them. The kids' pet's nice.
I mean, those horses want to die. They don't want to be alive. No shot those horses are happy walking the streets of Philadelphia or Washington, D.C. No shot.
I don't know what they're good for now. It's kind of just like a big, just intimidating thing. I don't know.
I'm not intimidated by shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like on foot,
they'd probably get off the horse and run after you. They probably wouldn't even run. The horse would probably be like, no.
No, if you're like on foot,
let them go.
Something happened, you can chase after someone maybe.
Oh my God, what a mess that would be. Cars and shit. That horse would shit bricks. That horse would say, "I'm not running."
It's a police horse. It's been. Come on. You say nay?
No
pun intended. God. Oh man, that's
he
hilarious.
Don't miss.
Oh yeah, it looks very stupid. So
this is the horse episode of the pod. Well, actually, we're gonna do a little. It's football season. We're gonna do a little football talk.
Football talk, baby.
NFC preview
picks.
That's
bets,
what you're here for.
Futures.
That's what you saw in the title of the vid. You said NFC. I love it. It's one of my two favorite NFL conferences.
For sure, top 2 conference.
We want to see what you're talking about. Can I ask you a trivia question regarding some NFC players?
Let it rip.
2 of the elite quarterbacks in the NFC currently.
Andy
Dalton, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Who has more career passing touchdowns?
Passing touchdowns? Who people forget. Andy Dalton, we'll get to this later. Dalton's very washed, but for a minute.
He was like a borderline MVP one year.
They made the playoffs. They were decent. I'll go with Andy Dalton.
He does.
Him and AJ Green
they're
were
one
nice.
spot. He's one spot ahead of him. 218 for Dalton, 190 for Kirk.
Okay, so like
he's like 7th and Cousins is like 8th, I think, or something.
So he's got him by 20. You say 29?
Yeah.
Math.
28.
So almost a full season of.
Which it'll probably be this year because I don't see Andy Dalton starting a lot of games.
Dude, he's the guy.
If you're a Bears fan, hopefully he's not starting a lot of games.
I'm sure Justin's going to have a nice career, but right now it's my time. Quote Andy Dalton today.
It's not.
Andy, I got bad news.
It's not your time.
It is not.
It was your time. You stink. We watched you last year.
Very mediocre.
You stink.
Yeah. Low ceiling on an Andy Dalton guy.
Speaking of Dallas Cowboys, speaking of stinking,
Andy
quickly.
Dalton. What a segue.
Let's
Andy Dalton,
riff on
Cowboys.
some Hard Knocks episode 2. Episode 1 was pretty uneventful. This episode also pretty uneventful. Bit of a disappointing season of Hard Knocks.
I'm not a Hard Knocks guy, but yeah, is it always kind of just like
it's way more boring than normal.
It stinks.
There's no drama yet. There's not a lot
Could
of.
Could it be? Because Mike McCarthy is just a stick
Mike
in the
McCarthy
mud.
is an absolute zero.
What a dunce that guy is.
Man, that pump-up speech he gave.
He said the same shit.
We got to hit him and play hard.
Bring the energy.
We have to also play physical. We've got to
play fast.
Lay the wood. We've got to play fast. And we also have to bring the pressure.
Bottom line, you just got to want it more.
Okay, Coach. Well, we're all, grown men.
Any tactical, schematic stuff you want us to work on or go try? Nah, just play hard, boys.
We're NFL players. We were just going to not try.
Yeah, he's just such a dud. Does it hurt it a little bit to have the quarterback out? They're featuring him.
He's also boring as shit.
He's pretty boring too.
But usually the people that shine are not the good players. It's always the weird guys that are going to get cut, the weird guys in the margins that you never hear from again. That's what Hard Knocks is all about. And we don't have many of those guys.
We've got Ben DiNucci.
Yeah.
We'll get to him. And I like the storyline of the edge rusher, Kamara.
Yeah, he's going to get
cool.
cut.
I think he's going to get cut too.
He's too small. He's going to get cut, and it's going to be sad.
He made a nice play.
He did. He did. He's
Against the
what? He's like a
Cardinals?
230-pound defensive end.
235, I think is what he was.
You better
Maybe
be.
he can play. I'm rooting for him, but yeah,
I'm rooting for him too. He's gonna get.
well,
cut.
he's gonna practice squad again. Yeah, he was on their practice squad last year. I would agree. But they're just setting up to
Man.
rip our heart out with him. But yeah, Ben DiNucci.
I really thought on that fateful night and whatever that was when we started that game last year, I thought I'd never see him again. What was that, like October, November?
Yeah.
It was Sunday Night Football.
They're
And
like,
it was the worst game I've ever seen.
This guy's on the team because the general manager is friends with his dad or something. Like he played at some Division I double-A.
Truly
He's
disgusting.
the worst quarterback I've ever seen play in the NFL. I'm not exaggerating.
I agree.
He's a nightmare.
I mean, it was a masterpiece of piss poor quarterback play.
Dude, he threw a touchdown in the corner of the end zone in that preseason game.
Oh God, it was so good.
He's probably gonna.
And I'm
get
glad
cut
I got
too.
him back in my life, but he's going to get cut probably. But
He stinks.
maybe not. He's really bad.
Other than that, man,
Zeke's
weirdo.
Weird.
I was just gonna say.
You know what I had thought in my head? He's kind of like Gronk, is what he reminded me of. He's got like big like dumb golden retriever energy.
Yeah, he does. He has like really like. Yeah, he's always.
He's so strange. He went off on that tangent about his gooch being dry.
Yeah, and he's
or wet, dry.
It was
too dry.
chafed.
It was rubbing.
He
So he
needed
needed
some
some powder.
He
Powder
does
up
seem
the
like
gooch.
does seem kind of like an airhead.
He's
Seems fun, I guess. To have around
no,
on the
he seems
sideline.
like he would bug the shit out of me.
Yeah, maybe.
Jerry Jones, I'm pretty sure when they hired this coach, just found out that there are black European people. I think maybe he just found that out for the first time, probably. I think he was
defensive line coach from
the
London?
defensive end coach from London. I think this was the first time that he ever realized there were black people that lived in Europe.
That's something.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. He's truly
his office is so sad. It's a
was
little
weird.
tiny desk, and he's got like an iPad, and he's stacked it on books like this, like Jerry.
You're one of the richest people.
You got a gajillion
in
dollars.
football. What are you doing?
Get you something else.
Yeah.
Upgrade it.
Yeah. He's always got his hands meddling and stuff. That's a nice wrinkle, but he hasn't been too involved.
No, we need more Jerry. We need a lot more Jerry.
A lot more Jerry meddling with stuff.
We need more of the big Hispanic lineman that said, "I want cake," and then he had another line in this episode.
Was he the
something.
one that got with the guy from Arizona that was like, we're the only non-college
But he said something
football
else
players?
funny. I thought I can't remember it.
Yeah,
now.
he does have some good lines, good stuff. Yeah, we need more Jerry meddling and stuff. How bad does he want Dak to be playing? He's like, are you sure the shoulder's good? I mean, good throwing program? I think we should probably just let it rip, huh?
Yeah.
Let's get Dak in there.
Yeah, he's sick of watching Ben DiNucci
And
throw
the
footballs.
trainer's like, we're gonna take it easy. It's like, I don't know, maybe let him
rub some dirt on it.
Cut it loose, maybe.
Yeah.
He really wants. Oh, and one of my last things. One of my favorite receivers in the league.
I wrote this down too. I just wrote down CeeDee Lamb, good at football.
He is so cool.
Yeah.
He's the swaggiest
Elite
guy.
swag.
Oh my god. The
Elite
visor,
swag.
the chains, the hair, just absolute baller on the field. Just incredibly cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be big time superstar. Perfect. Wears the 88 for Dallas. He's going to be a star.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Well, let's get into a preview of the NFC.
And what better place to start than the NFC East with the Hard Knocks Dallas Cowboys? Their win total is at 9. If you have seen anything else, or
I have it at 9 as well.
9. Okay. Last season they finished 10-6. They lost Dak after week 5 or 6, I think.
Something like that. 5.
But
I think 5.
I think it was week 5. At the time they were 1-3.
I think so.
And the one game they won was that miracle against Atlanta when they just found a way. So they, even with Dak, put up crazy stats, tons of yards, but wasn't coming away with wins. Their defense was very sketchy last year. They spent a first-round pick on Micah Parsons, who we skipped over him, and he's been kind of featured.
He's been featured a lot.
He seems like a big kid.
Yeah, he seems like a big child.
He just wants to play ball, man.
Yeah, he just likes playing football.
Second year under Mike McCarthy, who we said I think is a dunce.
I think he's a bad coach.
He's a net negative on your team. I really believe that. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, I think is really smart. Saw that with all the yards they were putting up. But when you have their offensive weapons and a good offensive coordinator, sling it around. The line gets healthier. They get some linemen back. Win total's at 9. They actually lead the division as far as win total goes. The rest are all below 9. I don't know. What do you think on the Dallas Cowboys?
Here's what I think about the Cowboys. I'm not going to get tricked like I have for the last decade that the Cowboys look really good on paper. Every single year since basically even before Dak, when they had Romo and now, they look really good on paper. They've never performed. I've never seen them put it together. They haven't made an NFC title game since, the 90s?
Yeah. I think a lot of their success on defense, man, their secondary.
But even on
shaky.
paper, like their defense, they have
their linebacker group is nice.
3 really good linebackers. They have Lawrence, who's one of the better pass rushers in the league.
They don't have a ton to play opposite of him on the defensive line. The defensive backfield is not strong. They have Jordan Lewis. They do have Trayvon Diggs, who's a second-year player. He had an injury out of the draft from Virginia. He's got some decent. He was the one that got mossed by CeeDee Lamb in the corner of the end zone. He had a first-round type of talent coming out, and they got a pretty good deal on him as he slid because of injury. But yeah, their defensive backfield is going to be tough. They do have a good linebacker group if they can stay healthy. Leighton Vander Esch seems to get injured every year. Jalen Smith had a major injury that he bounced back from, but he's dealt with injuries. I think the defense is going to struggle. I think the offense is going to be great. I think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. I think Mike McCarthy is a huge factor. I think he's a bad coach, and do I see them going 8-9? Keep in mind there's 17 games now.
That's going to fuck me up on
totals.
all these
win
win
totals. Be all over the place on that. Do they go 8-9 under 500? That's what you would need to win an under bet. I don't know. I would lean under, but I wouldn't bet it. I'm gonna pick under.
I'm gonna pick over because I think this is by far the worst division in the NFL. I think the Giants are not good simply because of their quarterback play. They've got some other pieces. I think Philly sneaky is going to be an absolute dumpster fire this year.
We'll get to them.
I think they're going to be atrocious.
I really like Washington, who we'll talk about next. For scheduling purposes, they play the AFC West, the cross conference. So they're playing the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders. A couple tough games there, and never know on the Raiders and Broncos. Broncos should be improved, maybe. We'll talk about them on the next episode. But they play the AFC West on the cross conference. Not the easiest. I'm going to lean under just because I don't think Mike McCarthy's very good. Defense doesn't inspire me. Secondary is very questionable. They only have one elite pass rusher. I'll lean under, but I wouldn't bet it.
I'll lean over. Also wouldn't bet it.
Chalk me up.
I think 9 is about a perfect number.
Yeah, we're going to keep track of these. We'll keep a spreadsheet. We'll pick our division winners, our playoff matchups, and Super Bowl champs for the show, and we'll recap it after the year. So you're a lean over. I'll go under. We'll move on to the Washington football team. Their win total is 8.5. Is that what you have it at?
Yep.
Okay. Last year they went 7-9 with questionable quarterback play. Started with Dwayne Haskins.
Bad.
Moved to Taylor Heineke. Who else did they throw in there? Any others that I'm missing?
Doesn't matter.
Either
Not
way,
good players.
They've added
Alex Smith.
Oh yeah, Alex Smith was in there. Yeah, he got benched. He had an injury in the playoff game. They went to Heineke. Yeah, Alex Smith. That's right. Ryan Fitzpatrick will be leading them this year. They have a nasty defense,
incredibly good defense,
incredible defensive front. They should be one of the best pass rushing teams in the league. Their defensive backfield's solid. They have some good linebackers that can fill against the run. I think the huge question, like Ron Rivera's a solid coach that they'll play for. Do we get good Fitzpatrick or bad Fitzpatrick? And I think
even bad Fitzpatrick is probably better than what they've had as of late.
I was going to say, people are falling in love. They fall in love with good Fitzpatrick. We can get really, really bad 5 interception Fitzpatrick, and I don't think enough people are considering that option.
Sure.
They have McLaurin. They brought in Curtis Samuel.
I really like their offensive weapons for the first time
Antonio
in
Gibson.
forever for this team.
Yeah, they have some.
Logan Thomas at tight end is a stud.
Is a stud, yes. I think it come down to Ryan Fitzpatrick. 8.5 in a bad division. I assume you're leaning over.
Yes.
I also would bet the over. I agree. Fitzpatrick he definitely lowers the floor of the offense. I think it could get ugly, but I think they can. I'm picking them to win this division.
Me too.
I think they're clearly the best team.
Rivera, who's their offensive coordinator? Do you know?
I don't know. I can look it up though.
But based on Rivera teams, they tend to place fairly conservative offense, which I think is good, and I think they'll try and run the ball a decent amount, which will be helpful for
I think
Fitzpatrick.
I think the defensive coordinator is Jack Del Rio, and Scott Turner is the offense coordinator. Is that Norv Turner's
kind of looks like him.
I think it's Norv Turner's son. Don't quote me on that. Not positive. But, I think Antonio Gibson could have a good year. McLaurin's a stud. Logan Thomas is a nice player. I'm going to go over, and I would bet it. I will be betting it. I think they're really good.
Agreed. I would also bet it. I think the defense is really scary. I think they basically have the same team they had last year. You add a better quarterback, and you give a lot of these young defenders another year to develop and a lot of the young offensive weapons a year to develop. I just don't see any reason why they won't be better than they were last year.
I mean, they just come in waves on the defensive line. The defensive front should just be so stacked. And they don't have a great secondary, but just how fast they can get to the quarterback really makes up for deficiencies on the back end. You can play a little more conservative and get away with some more things on the back end if you're getting the passer consistently. So we'll both go over on them. We'll go to the Giants. Their win total is 7. They finished 6-10 last year. Second year under Joe Judge. Their training camp reportedly has been a disaster.
There's full-blown mutiny on Coach Judge, it seems like.
Yeah, reports that Daniel Jones is ending up in the bottom of scrums and stuff.
Good.
That's bad. You don't.
Ooh, another thing about the Giants, bad juju. Apparently their owner, what's his name, John Mara, I think is their owner, was the guy who wanted to implement the new taunting penalties. He's like the main reason.
What a fucking stick in the mud.
What a loser.
What a loser.
He said nobody wants to watch guys taunting each other.
I do.
Disagree.
I would love it.
Disagree.
Yeah, what a lame ass. Anyway, their offense will be led by Daniel Jones. Make or break year for him. You're done if you stink.
I'm out.
Figure it out.
Been out.
No, I'm out. Yeah, but the Giants will be out if he stinks. They brought in Kenny Galladay. They have Sterling Shepard. They have Evan Ingram. They have Saquon Barkley coming off a season-ending knee injury. Their defense is uninspiring. They signed James Bradbury last year, who's a pretty elite corner. He's probably a top 10 corner. They've got some decent. They traded for Leonard Williams along the defensive front. Just uninspiring. I just don't.
No, I don't like any of their players, really. I mean, they have a few good bright spots. Saquon's good, obviously.
Joe Judge is a huge question still at coach, and Daniel Jones is just such
bad coach, bad quarterback.
Pass.
Not a good recipe for winning.
Their total's 7. I just can't see them winning and going 8-9.
No, I would take the under probably.
I will also take the under. Bad quarterback. Don't know about the coach. Not sure. Could be a bad coach. Training camp's been a disaster. I will pass. I'll take the under on 7. Eagles, last team in the division, their win total is 6.5. Last year they went 4-11-1, led by mostly Carson Wentz. Did he miss any time? I can't remember.
I'm sure he did. I mean, Jalen Hurts was playing at the end of the year.
Sure, that's right. Hurts took over for the last 4 games, I believe. He looked okay. If you have a fantasy team, they didn't really win. They didn't really result in any victories. New coach Nick Sirianni, I think is the name. I haven't seen it yet. Could be an absolute disaster.
Yeah, it hasn't been inspiring what we've seen.
Camp reports
in the press from the camp reports. Looks pretty bad.
They did take Devonta Smith with their first-round pick. He's already hurt. He has a knee tweak. I think he's going to be fine, but the reps with Hurts in camp are not going to be there. They still have Zach Ertz. They still have a nice younger tight end in Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, some other like pass catching backs. The really redeeming quality for this team is their offensive line is pretty solid if they can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
The lines are pretty solid. The defensive side of the line is also pretty solid. which in theory is a good recipe, but I just, outside of Darius Slay and a couple guys on the defensive line, their defense should just be eviscerated. I can't imagine.
I think they have a bad defense. I don't believe in Jalen Hurts at all. I never have as an NFL
have.
quarterback. I've never felt good about him.
When he went to Oklahoma and everyone in that offense where everyone thrives and people were hyping him up, dude can't throw.
We're going to see.
He can't throw.
We're going to see how bad it gets this year. This is one of my bets that I will be betting. I'm hammering them for the under. I think there's a good chance they have the fewest wins in this entire conference.
I thought you were going to say the whole league, and there's another team.
There's another team in this conference that also is not going to be very good.
I was thinking of, we'll get to the Texans in next
episode.
Yeah,
the Texans,
they could go winless.
The Texans, I agree. They could go 0-17. First 0-17 team, maybe.
Spoiler alert. For next episode, we got an under. The Texans are dog shit. But yeah, I'll take the under. I can't see them getting 7 games. First-year head coach, first-year full-time starter in Jalen Hurts, lack of real inspiring offensive weapons. I will also take the under. NFC West time, probably the best division in football.
Absolutely.
I have to guess. All 4 teams, the win total is 8.5 or higher. The 3 highest teams, the Rams, 49ers, and Seahawks, are all 10 or higher. We did touch on it just to get it down for the record. Both taking Washington to win the NFC East.
Yep.
Okay, both taking Washington. We'll start with the Rams in the NFC West. I suppose the favorite, them and the Niners both have 10.5 as their win total. They went 10-6 last year. They swap a couple first-round picks and Jared Goff to bring in Matthew Stafford, which is a just gigantic Grand Canyon size upgrade.
You go from not a real quarterback to a real quarterback. Helpful.
Yeah. The only real concern it's a super top-heavy roster. Stafford on the offensive side, they got a couple good receivers. Cam Akers, unfortunately, was hurt right before camp. But the defense, they have Aaron Donald, they have Jalen Ramsey, and then a bunch of guys. They've done a really good job. They've went with the strategy of trading a ton of their first-round picks. Like, they don't have a first-round pick for like a 6-year window. But they've been able to find talent later in the draft so that it hasn't hurt them. They've got Darius Williams at corner opposite Ramsey, which has been huge. So teams can't just avoid Ramsey. They've got Jordan Fuller at safety. They got from Ohio State, and I think the 6th round, who's been really nice. Justin Lawler. I'm a Rams fan, so I watched the preseason game. Justin Lawler had a really good game on the opposite end of Aaron Donald. So they're finding dudes. It's going to be a really tough division. This division matches up with the AFC South. So they'll be playing the Titans, Colts, Jaguars, and Texans, which is a positive. I'll be taking the over for the Rams. I lean the over. If there's injury, bad luck for them, it could get ugly because they are very top-heavy. If Ramsey or Donald or someone like that goes down, it could really be a house of cards. But assuming you can't predict that, assuming injury, no injuries, I'll take the over on 10.5. Good coach, Sean McVay, good quarterback, star players on defense, a solid matchup, cross-conference with the South. I'll take the over.
Yeah, I love McVay as a coach. That's not a hot take by any means. I'm also going to lean the over here, and I think I'm also going to pick them to win the NFC West. They'll be my NFC West team. It was between them and the other team that is also projected to be a 10.5 win team, who I assume we'll get to next. Yeah, I think Stafford's a huge upgrade, and I think we've never gotten to see McVay with a true star quarterback, so I'm very interested to see what he can draw up and design. Sorry to cut you off. I don't think people understand how good Stafford is. He's been playing for the Lions. He played some with Calvin Johnson a little while, and they threw it around, but they've been mostly bad. We might figure out he's big-time elite quarterback. Yeah, I think a lot of people that don't really know are going to wake up to see how elite he was.
He's getting hype now that he's on the Rams with McVay, but I think he could have a really, really big year.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about Akers going down. I mean, I'm a big proponent. You're running back. I don't think it matters too much if you have a good O-line and a good scheme. You can kind of plug anyone in, and I think the Rams have that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the defense is stacked with all pros, so that's pretty useful. Yeah, I mean, I love the Rams. I think they're going to be incredible. I think they're going to win the division. I'm going to take the over. They're, I don't know,
I will also pick them to win the division.
One of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFC, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they'll win the division too. You mentioned their offensive line. It's pretty solid. They brought back Whitworth, who's almost 40 at left tackle, hoping he can stay healthy. The offensive line, they don't have a lot of star-studded names. They've done an okay job patching that together. One positive, they do bring all 5 of the starters back, so continuity on the offensive line is important. It's average-ish line. I think they'll be okay, especially that they bring everybody back. So I'll take the over there. We'll move on to San Francisco, who is basically a co-favorite in this division. Their win total is also 10.5. They went 6-10 last year, mainly because the quarterback play. Garoppolo was in and out most of the year.
They were extremely snake-bitten by injuries as
Kittle
well.
was out most of the year.
As bad as it could be. Nick Bosa was out.
Bosa tore his ACL,
season.
maybe week 1.
I think week 1.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he'll be back. They have a in my opinion, top 5 offensive line. They've really stacked. They traded from Washington.
On top of that, you
Trent
had
Williams.
Shanahan, who's one of the better coaches of run offense in the NFL.
He's for sure top 5. He might be top 3 coaches. I think he's really, really smart.
But run game specifically, his scheme is second to none.
Elite, yeah, for sure. They'll get Bosa back. They have a nasty defensive front. They just re-signed Fred Warner, who maybe is the best linebacker in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Their secondary is okay, but kind of like Washington, when you can get to the passer, it takes stress off of having the secondary to cover for too long. I think the big question for this team is when and how good on Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's the big question mark. I think Lance is absolutely the key to all this, and I think the quarterback position is the only reason I give the Rams a slight edge over San Francisco, just because no matter how good Lance is, and he's probably not going to be playing until week 3, 4, 5, if I had to guess, he's going to have some hiccups. He's going to have some mistakes. He's going to lose them a couple games, I think.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, if he's really clicking, they're obviously going to be incredibly dangerous. But that question mark at quarterback is concerning.
Yeah, definitely. I think he is for sure a ceiling raiser. It'd be so hard to be that good right away.
I mean, how many guys ever are rookie quarterbacks that lead teams to playoff wins? I can't even think of one.
But the dual threat, you mentioned Shanahan's run game, but with his speed and athleticism on the edge, what he could do with a run scheme with that team would be really nasty.
But the difference between this rookie quarterback situation and a lot of others is this was a team that was in the Super Bowl a year ago, lost their whole team, managed to get the number 3 pick. You usually don't see that. Usually these rookie quarterbacks are going to teams like the Jaguars.
That are bad. This team is kind of you just mentioned that kind of Spurs-ish when they got Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Their guy went down.
Yeah.
They
took a year off.
Lucked into a really high pick, and they drafted one of the best players of all time. Well, Trey Lance is not that, but they drafted Tim Duncan, and it was just a wheels up on a dynasty. Yeah.
Cheat code. Yeah.
We'll see. It's a ready-made roster.
It's interesting. I mean, this team and the Rams, they really do mirror each other in so many ways. I mean, the roster construction is very similar. The coaches are
on the same staff in Washington together.
Yeah. Boy wonders.
Yeah.
Talk of the town.
I'll also take the over on them. I think that they both go over this number and are one game separated them. I think they win 12, 13 games and will be really close for the division. But I will take the Rams. We'll move to the Seahawks. They fired their offensive coordinator. They bring in Shane Waldron, who was a passing game guy for the Rams. Has a new offensive coordinator, so not sure what that will lead to. Early on in the season, I mean, Russ was the favorite for MVP. It was let Russ cook, and they kind of went away from that, and it went a little downhill.
They let Russ cook, and he started a fire in the kitchen.
Well, the win total's 10. They did go 12-4 last year. They won the division. They were good. Pete Carroll,
you got to think.
You can like or dislike
49ers were injured.
It's true. The
Rams lost their quarterback, and even when they did have a quarterback, they weren't great.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is I've been critical of their drafting over the past few years. I think it catches up to them on the defensive side. They took Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech at linebacker in the first round. Not a lot of people understood that. I think he's okay. He'll play next to Bobby Wagner. They took Rashad Penny a couple years ago in the first round. Backup running back. They have Carson. Really odd pick. I think it catches up to them. Their offense if Russ can evade the rush, he dances around that offensive line. I mean, they're going to be fine. Metcalf and Lockett should be fine. They should put up some points, I guess, but it's a tough division. I think they're the third best team.
I think they're the third best team. I'm going to be taking the under on 10 wins. I think
I lean under.
Offensive
it's not a bet
line
for me.
catches up. There's only so much, especially in this division where you're going up against Donald, you're going up against Bosa, you're going up against these Monstar defenses. I think there's only a matter of time before Russ is going to.
J.J. Watt now, too.
Oh,
we'll get to it.
God, J.J. Watt.
We'll get to it next. I also lean under. It's just,
I would lean under. I think the defense is not great. They have some individual pieces that are nice, but as a whole,
Jamal Adams just got re-upped.
Not really stopping anybody, I don't think.
I think as a whole, it's very shaky.
I think it's just time. I think Seattle's time is, it's on the downslide.
Bobby Wagner's on the back nine.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a good player. They have Jamal Adams. A real lackluster pass rush, which is never great. They don't have any real elite guys along the defensive front, which is not what you want when you have a division now full of solid quarterbacks. You got to chase Stafford and Kyler Murray and eventually Trey Lance. I
think that's an easy thing to forget about when you're looking at these teams and you see the star players on the outside, but what really wins games is the guys in between the hashes.
It's won and lost in the
trenches, brother.
They're
bad in the trenches.
I don't think I would bet it. I'm not going to bet it, but I will take the under for our spreadsheet. Our game here.
I just want to let you know, we've only disagreed on one pick this entire time. So.
And it was slight. It was Cowboys, right?
Cowboys.
Very first one
is the only one that we've disagreed on. So
we did not confer before this whatsoever. That will do it. We'll go on to the Cardinals. They went 8-8 last year. Their win total is 8.5 this year. I think they could maybe finish above the Seahawks. I don't think they could contend unless there's a major injury with the 49ers or the Rams. What do you think of Cliff Kingsbury?
I think he might be a fraud.
I think he might be a fake
I think
sharp.
He might be a giant fraud.
He had the air raid, all the cute.
I think people saw McVay and they saw Shanahan. They're like, hot young guy.
I lean the under
coach.
on the Cardinals. I think it could be a tough year. The lean under, I don't think I would bet it. They're the fourth best team, I think, in the division. We'll see on the Seahawks. But I'm going to lean under. I think Cliff Kingsbury is maybe a fraud. I know you're a big Kyler guy. Does J.J. Watt make up for the lack of pass rush?
No.
I think he's pretty dusty.
Dead.
I don't think they can get after the quarterback well enough. They've got decent secondary pieces. Byron Jones, their safety who just got re-upped, whose name escapes me, one of the best safeties in the league.
Buda Baker. He's very good.
But
they drafted the guy at Clemson last year, the safety/linebacker guy. What's that guy's name?
Isaiah Simmons, yeah. He's kind of had a tough time finding a role. He's like an undersized linebacker, like hybrid safety. Yeah, he's a good player. We'll see what they end up doing with him. I lean under, but don't love it, wouldn't bet it.
I think I'm going to lean the over strictly based on the fact that they're going to get to play Houston and Jacksonville, two, in theory, easier wins. They're definitely the fourth best team in this division. 8.5 is a pretty solid number for them, I think.
And also, I'm not sure which two were home and away, but Titans-Colts, they're winnable too. Those other two games.
Colts also not great. Titans.
I like the Titans too, and I'm okay, kind of lukewarm on the Colts, but also winnable games for all four of those division teams. No absolute killers. It's a good matchup as far as cross-conference draw goes. I'll lean under. You're going to go over. We'll go to the NFC North. The Green Bay Packers went 13-3 last year. Their win total I show as 10. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The band's back together. They've got Rodgers back in camp. Everything seems fine. Matt LaFleur seems, outside of a pretty egregious call in the playoffs to not go for it, seems like a good coach. Seems to stay out of the way and let Aaron do his thing. I don't know. He's
unfathomable, that call.
It was tough.
It still
makes
almost
me
sick.
It almost lost him Aaron Rodgers. It seems like that was a real sticking point in there.
Glitch in the simulation type of call. I didn't understand.
Dude, when you can kick a field goal and make it from a one-score game to a lower one-score game, you got to do it with 2.5 minutes left. Tough call.
At some point, you got to stop looking at your little sheet and you got to just think.
Dude, play with your gut. What do you think?
Green Bay.
You on the Packers?
I'm low. This Rodgers stuff, and I assume this was boiling up for years now, but I just don't know. It seems like such a trouble in paradise situation. It seems that he is so disenfranchised by what's going on with the franchise. I think this could blow up bad. They obviously have a very talented roster. I'd say they obviously have the most talented roster of any team in this division, which helps. They play in a fairly weak division.
For the most part,
I think they will struggle. I think we're going to get some midseason Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless. Does Aaron Rodgers still have it? Takes.
Okay.
I think I'm going to still pick them to win the division, but I just think they struggle. God, but 10 is just right. Is still a pretty good number for them, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think
in a normal year, they're usually like an 11, 12.
I will say, to aid your wanting to lean to the under, they match up with the NFC North matches up with the AFC North. So they play the Ravens, Browns, Steelers, and Bengals, which is a tough draw.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough draw. They play two elite teams in the Ravens and Browns. The Steelers, traditionally tough, very good defense. We'll see how Ben bounces back after the late season slide. And then the Bengals, who are, we'll see. So a tough cross-conference draw for the Packers. My biggest thing with them, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They have one of the best wide receivers in the league, Devontae Adams. They get Bakhtiari back at left tackle. Very important. They did lose Lindsley to the Chargers, their center. But they got a nice later-round pick at guard that they put in there. I really like their defense. I really like some names that they have along their defense. They have Kenny Clark in the middle. They have Za'Darius and Preston Smith on the edge. They have Rashawn Gary in the middle. One of the best corners in the league that people don't respect enough in Jair Alexander. Adrian Amos in the defensive backfield, too, at safety. They drafted Eric Stokes. Kevin King's kind of shaky, but he's not asked to be a number one guy. I like a lot of the names on their defensive side of the ball, too. I am not going to bet it, but I would lean over.
Are you picking them to win the NFC?
Yes, I am.
North.
I am picking them to win the NFC North.
We are going pretty, I guess we're not going chalk, but we both agreed on Washington.
Yes, we did. Are you going to go with over? Or are you going to go
I'm going to lean over, I think.
Okay. I'm going to lean over. I think he's a good coach.
In a different
Good
division,
coach,
I would
good
lean
quarterback.
under, but
Yeah, I think I'll go with the over. Not a bet, though. 10 seemed low when I look at it.
yeah.
And then with 13-3, it seems like they're baking in the kind of disgruntled quarterback storyline. You know what? I might bet it. I think they're better than that. The cross-conference schedule is tough, but I think they went 13-3 last year. I think they're just better than 10 wins. I think 11-6 is not asking that much.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking. I'm talking myself
10's
into
a push.
it too.
It's not 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10-7. This team's gonna go 10-7.
Aaron Rodgers just lives in a state where he's disgruntled at all times,
Yeah,
no
that's
matter
what he
what's
does.
going on.
We
so
do
I don't
this.
think it'll really affect him.
I mean, I am gonna bet it. I'll take the over. And
I've
I
talked
will bet
myself into it. Hammer it.
it. Yeah, I
Green
like
Bay
it.
over.
The second team, as far as win total goes, in order is the Minnesota Vikings. At their totals at 9. They went 7-9 last year. They have basically a similar cast, I would say. They add some guys back on defense. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson had a breakout year as a rookie. My guy Irv Smith Jr. should take a step as their lead tight end with Rudolph gone. Adam Thielen is aging, but not asked to do as much now. Dalvin Cook, of course, they're going to pound the ball on the ground, Mike Zimmer style. What do you think about the Vikings?
Hate him.
Hate it, huh?
Fuck Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he stinks.
He stinks. Colossal loser.
He stinks at football. He's got bad takes, too.
He's got bad opinions on things. I hope he enjoys his little cubicle that he makes them build in the facility so that he doesn't have to get the vaccine.
And as I said, for the Packers, they play the AFC North, too. This whole division, they match up with the North. Really tough schedule. I am on the under as well.
I'm hammering the under on this.
It's a bet for you?
Bad team, yeah. I'm betting this. Yeah, I don't think they're good. I don't think Kirk Cousins is good. I think they were bad last year. They bring back the same team this year. I don't think there's any reason to think that they're going to get better.
Fair enough. We don't have to spend too much time on it. I agree. Don't like Mike Zimmer is a solid coach. I think he does a good job of, quote, getting the boys going. I think they play hard for him, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Kirk Cousins, I'm just off Kirk Cousins. We'll move on to the hometown Chicago Bears. Their total 7.5. They went 8-8 last year with a quarterback conundrum of Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky on and off throughout the year. Matt Nagy, sneaky dunce along with Mike McCarthy.
Not sneaky at all, I don't think.
I think he's maybe just
pretty
a
out in the
dunce.
open about it.
They did finish 8-8 last year with Foles and Trubisky, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something to say for that. That's not nothing. That's 8-8 in the NFL.
Elite defense.
Big-time elite defense. They lost Kyle Fuller, which is concerning. They do have Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman. They signed Robert Quinn from the Rams to play along the defensive line, Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, very underrated Danny Trevathan.
Front seven is maybe the best in the league.
They added
Close.
Alec Ogletree, who is a fine linebacker. He's not very, very good in coverage, but he's not going to be asked to do that much. Eddie Jackson's one of the best safeties in the league. Tashawn Gibson. Jalen Johnson is a second-year corner out of Utah. They also signed Desmond Trufant, who might be washed. He's maybe a little dusty, but a lot of people thought about Joe Hayden, too, when he went to the Steelers. Kind of a similar change of scenery. Maybe gets a little bit of a resurgence with the Bears, Desmond Trufant. Losing Kyle Fuller isn't great, but everyone else back. I'm on the over. The question is,
how much Fields are we going to get this year? Hopefully we get 16 games of Justin Fields.
If we get 17 games of Justin Fields, or, yeah, I think he missed the first week, 16 games, I think it's...
Wait, how many games are they playing with the bye week?
17.
Okay, so there's 18 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully 17 games. I don't think he'll start week 1, but I think very soon thereafter he will. If he plays more than 14, 15 games, I think it's smash the over.
Yeah, this number
seems
way too low.
Defense is nasty. I think they're easily better than the Vikings with Justin Fields under center. Allen Robinson is a stud, very underrated. Fields would easily be the best quarterback he's ever played with. Second-year breakout, Darnell Mooney, love him. Colt Kmet, second-year player, tight end. Concerning that they probably just lost their offensive lineman they drafted for the year. He just had back surgery, but they did add Jason Peters, former Eagle, pretty old, but
how old is he?
He's almost 40. He's near Andrew Whitworth's age. He struggled with injuries as he's gotten older, but
is Andy Dalton better than Nick Foles?
Yeah.
Is he better than Mitch Trubisky?
Yeah.
So, even if they play Dalton
for the entire year,
why would they get 2 games worse this year than they were last year?
True, with an additional game. I agree. I think it is I keep mentioning the cross-conference schedule. They do play a tough schedule. They get the Browns, they get the Ravens and Steelers and Bengals. I like it over.
Yeah, me too.
I like it over, and
we need to stop agreeing with all these.
They are. Losing Fuller is concerning, but the pass rush should mitigate some of that back end stuff. And I like Jalen Johnson, who they took out of Utah, the corner. Yeah, over. And it's a bet. I like it a lot. Detroit Lions, something I don't like a lot. Their win total is 4.5. I didn't even write down what their record was last year.
Bad.
Not good. Not great, Bob. They're in full-on rebuild mode.
Mm-hmm.
They have Jared Goff at the helm now after trading Stafford. They got a bunch of picks. They took a tackle with their first pick in the draft, Penei Sewell. They got a super young wide receiver group. DeAndre Swift is a nice running back, but that's not going to bring any substantial win equity to your team.
No.
The line is okay. They just don't have the dudes. They just don't have the dudes.
What do they have on defense? Anybody?
No. I mean, Jeff Okudah is a second-year corner out of Ohio State who had a pretty poor year last year, but that's somewhat expected for a first-year corner. It's baptism by fire, especially when you're the number one guy and asked to cover elite receivers all year. It's going to be tough. It's just a rebuilding defense and very, very uninspiring. The win total is only 4.5. It's a brutal schedule, as I've said, for this entire division. Under 4.5.
My soul wants to take the over. I think I've talked myself into Dan Campbell.
Really?
I think
I was
like
just going to say, Dan Campbell.
I think he gets the boys going.
I don't know.
I think I don't know. I'm just my brain's been washed by some videos at camp. All the players, they really seem to dig him. They seem to like him. They seem to want to play for him. I don't know if that matters that much when you're a professional.
I get, yeah. There's something to that. There's Mike Tomlin.
Jared Goff stinks.
I've watched Jared Goff for the past 4 years.
He's not good.
Boy, talk about a limited quarterback. He can do some things.
Doesn't really have anyone to throw it to.
He can do some things. If he's on time, he gets the plays on time. He gets protection. He can.
Who is their number one wide receiver?
They have
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
T.J. Hawkinson is going to lead them in targets, I would say. I think he's a really nice player. I think Goff over the middle of the field is going to target him a lot. Amon-Ra St. Brown. What's his name? The other wide receiver. I got to look.
Doesn't matter.
They brought in Tyrell Williams to play on
the
outside.
Boy.
Yeah, he's a career.
Yeah, I got to go under.
I'm going to go under 4.5. Who is this other guy? He was out of a Big Ten school. What's his name? Oh, they have Tyrell Williams, Brashad Perriman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who they took out of USC. Quintez Cephas, I think went to Wisconsin maybe. He's a decent wide receiver prospect maybe, but it's nothing that's going to move the needle.
No, they're going to stink out loud.
I think they're going to be really bad. Trey Flowers along the defensive line. They do have Jamie Collins, who's...
I think they could win more games than Philly. Maybe.
I don't. I think it's going to be a long, long year. I just don't
I think Philly's going to stink. I think they could. I think, obviously, they're the favorite for a reason to be the worst team in the conference, but we'll see.
In my opinion, bottom line, they just don't have the dudes. They can play hard. They have a tough schedule. Dan Campbell, we don't know is a good coach yet. Will they play hard for him? Probably. I don't know if schematically he's going to be able to draw up win.
Quick answer, no talent. Not good enough. They just don't have the Joes and the Jimmies. They're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, it ain't about X's and O's. These boys ain't the Jimmies and Joes.
They had a really good run with Stafford, so
I'll go under. It's going to be a long year in Detroit.
It's been a long
NFC South.
It's been a long 40, 50, 60
NFC
years
South. They match up with the AFC East. So we're talking Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, Jets on the other side of their schedule for the conference. We'll start with the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their win total is 12, the second highest in the entire league behind Kansas City, who's at 12.5. They're at 12. They went sneaky. Didn't win as many regular season games as you might think.
They got really hot in the playoffs.
A stud Super Bowl champion win. They went 11-5. 11 wins last year. They do return every single player from their Super Bowl team. All 22. Offense, defense.
Pretty good.
Every single player is back.
Pretty good.
In whatever fashion. They franchise tag Godwin. They even get back. They didn't have one of the best run-stuffing tackles in the league, Vita Vea. I think that's how you say it. He was injured after week 6 last year. They add him back, who's a stud. He'll play next to Sue along the line. I mean, they're a wagon.
Yeah, they got a really good team. They're top to bottom stacked. They obviously won the Super Bowl for a reason.
But the number...
Will they take the foot off the gas a little bit during the season?
The number is 12. That's a lot.
It's effectively the exact same record they had last year with the extra game, pretty much.
Sure.
12 wins this year is 11
Here's my thing. I don't know if they'll need to keep their foot on the gas. We'll see how the Packers do. They were very good last year, 13-3. The Rams and 49ers are also contenders in this conference. The format changed last year. It's only one team gets a bye. So that's very, very important, especially for Brady. Historically, the Patriots, they never won a Super Bowl without a first-round bye. Pretty important for...
Didn't have it last year, though.
They didn't. That is true. Didn't have it last year. 12's a lot. It's probably a no bet, but the Saints are down. The rest of the division...
They play what? What's the cross? What's the
AFC
teams?
play the East. They play the Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, and Jets.
Ooh,
Big Tom
Tommy.
Brady coming. I think it's week 5 or 6. He goes. It's in New England. And also, if everything works out, I read if everything works out, as far as yardage goes per game, he could break the Drew Brees' yardage record, career passing yardage record in New England. That'd be hot.
Bill's going to throw a fit.
Do they need to push for the bye late in the year? I think they cruise to the division. I don't think there's any chance, even if they have injuries. Like, they're so stacked. Their defense, they were able to get why do I keep forgetting the safety's name? The second, junior.
Antoine Winfield.
Winfield Jr. in the second round last year. Absolute steal. He's a baller. They get Vita Vea back. I will take the over. I don't love it, but I'll take the over. I think they try to get the bye. I'll take the over. 13-4. I do get it if you want to lean under because I don't think they're going to get pushed for the division.
No, I think they'll have the division wrapped up very easily. I don't think they're going to get any resistance from any of these other three teams. And I think one of these NFC West teams is going to for sure get the first round bye, in my opinion. Whichever team that is, either the Rams or San Fran, I think is going to get this bye. It could be Green Bay. So I think, I'll go 11 wins, 11 or 10 wins for Tampa Bay. I'll go under.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I don't think I would bet it. It's a lot of wins. I'll lean over. Yeah, I think even 10 or 11 wins, I think they still handily win that division. So I don't think that's a concern. They might prioritize health later in the year to get healthy for the playoff run. Don't fault you there. We'll go on to the Saints. Their win total is 9. They went 12-4 last year. The biggest change, obviously, is the retirement of Drew Brees. They have Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. Tanis Hill under center. One of those two will be under center. Sean Payton, good coach. Michael Thomas,
doesn't want to play there. Also very hurt.
Already injured. Poor off-season communication on rehab of last year's injury.
Here's he didn't want to not be hurt this year. He wanted to just sit it out. He wanted to tweet at people.
I will say, they probably have the best offensive line in the league. Top 1 or 2, 3. Very, very good.
Arguably the best running back in the league.
Stud. Without Michael Thomas, their receiving core is
pitiful.
Pedestrian.
Pitiful.
Marquez Callaway, Traquan Smith.
I don't see how they're going to move the ball through the air at all.
Adam Troutman is a second-year player. I think out of Dayton. You took him out of Dayton. They drafted him last year, I think. The offense is sketchy, man. Saving grace is the offensive line. I think Kamara's going to get all the work he can handle.
I hate him. I'm betting the under. If you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one. You also have two bad quarterbacks. 9 wins is too many. I think they lose to Tampa Bay twice. I think AFC East is a pretty loaded division. I think those are all going to be pretty tough games outside of New York.
Yeah, sneaky very good over there.
Yeah, I think they're really bad. I don't see how they move the ball. I think the defense is good, not great.
They have some
Sean
stars.
Payton's obviously a very good coach, but I think we're going to get some very, very fun content out of how bad the pass game is.
One thing to consider for the Saints, the cross conference you mentioned was the AFC East. They're in conference. They were the division winner last year. They went 12-4, so they're going to play the one from the other divisions as well on the schedule. So that's a tough matchup for them in conference.
I think this is the worst team New Orleans has had in a long time.
Michael Thomas might go on the IR, which is is that 8 weeks at least?
I think so.
I also am going to go with the under.
I mean, realistically, since Drew Brees has been there, this is about the worst team they've had. Close.
I like the Panthers more than the Saints.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, let's talk about the Panthers.
Let's go with the Panthers. They were 5-11 last year. Their total this year is 7.5. It is the second year for Matt Rule. Big question for this team. They had Teddy Bridgewater at the helm last year. Do you believe in Sam Darnold?
No.
You don't?
No.
I think there is more there than was shown in New York. One of the worst coaches in NFL history, Adam Gase, was at the helm in New York. Just, you want to ruin a player? I got a guy. I got a guy for you. It's Adam Gase. It's crazy eyes. I think Joe Brady, teams were nuts not to give him a head coaching job this offseason. Him and one other guy in the other conference we'll talk about is one of the most elite offensive coaches in the league. I think Joe Brady and Matt Rule are very good coaches, and I think they'll get the most out of Sam Darnold. And I will take the over on their win total. The biggest concern is probably the defense outside of Darnold.
My concern is the defense, Sam Darnold, and Christian McCaffrey with a lot of workload, a little bit of frailty.
Sure.
The guy gets hurt a lot, and if he gets hurt, that's big.
That's not true. He
in
was hurt all of last year for the first time ever. So a lot.
But I think with his body type, that's probably closer to what you would expect.
I understand, yeah, and that's fair. He's gotten as many touches really for no reason as he can handle. Like, they weren't good. They weren't like they just fed him the ball. Passes. He caught 100 passes 2 years ago. Just as many rushes as he can handle. I do like their defense is very, very young. Every single pick this past draft was on the defensive side of the ball. Very, very young, but I like the players that they took. They took Derek Brown 2 years ago from Auburn. They took Gross Matos, who's a defensive lineman. Brian Burns has been there for a little while. I think he's a very good edge rusher.
Jeremy Chin.
Shaq Thompson, Jeremy Chin.
Those Salukis.
Your boy from Southern is in the defensive backfield. J.C. Horn was the first defender taken this past draft. We mentioned it with Jeff Okudah for the Lions. Baptism by fire when on the defensive side of the ball these days in the NFL for these young guys. We'll see. I like the guys they have. I think they can take a good step. I'll take over. They don't even have to go over 5. It's 7.5. I'll take the over. I think they're better than the Saints. I think Matt Rule is going to be sneaky regarded as one of the better coaches in the league after this year. I think he's a top 10 coach in the league, and Joe Brady won't be there next year. He will have a head coaching job.
Yeah, I think the quarterback is – I don't think Darnold's good.
I think there's something there.
Maybe.
We'll see.
I disagree.
That's the big –
I'm taking the under. I think the defense is too young still. I don't think they're ready. I think talent aside, I think they're too young. Bad quarterback play. You know, going to have to play Tampa a couple times. Sean Payton's one of the better coaches in the league.
He is. I think Matt Rule is in the Sean Payton discussion in that stratosphere of coach after this year.
Well, that's a bold take. We'll have to see and find out.
Yeah, we will. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons, they have the lowest win. They have the same win total as the Carolina Panthers. They are also 7.5. They went 4-12 last year. A lot of that was due to just all-time blunders, honestly, poor coaching.
Falcons going to Falcon,
bad
baby.
Field goal kicking. I mean, just any way you could think to lose, they lost.
They lost every way you could possibly lose.
They had really bad injuries on the defensive side of the ball and just were a sieve, just gave up all the points. They were very, very bad.
Poor.
They did hire
Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith, thank you. I slipped my mind.
Tennessee OC.
Tennessee offensive coordinator who had that offense humming last year. I like Arthur Smith. I think he's a pretty smart offensive mind. It's going to depend on the defensive side of the ball for me. I think Calvin Ridley will be fine. They lose Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley will be the number one guy. They took Kyle Pitts 4th overall. I think he'll be a good offensive weapon. I think Arthur Smith will use him well. They've brought over Mike Davis from the Panthers. I guess he'll lead the backfield. I don't necessarily love that, but don't like Arthur Smith. Don't love Matt Ryan. I lean under here. I think the Panthers are better than them.
It's a tough one. Whose defense is better? Probably Carolina on paper. They're a little bit younger. Who's a better coach? Arthur Smith hasn't coached a season yet, so you probably lean Rule. I think Matt Ryan is definitely a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, in my opinion. I think I prefer the pass catchers for Atlanta to the Carolina ones.
We didn't mention Carolina's pass. They have DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson,
who are good players, but I think Ridley is better than both of them. I think Pitts is a superstar. I think Pitts is an absolute
matchup
weapon.
Nightmare like you read about.
And we saw in Tennessee that Arthur Smith gets tight ends involved very effectively.
True.
I think that'll be a very fun toy for him to use in the pass game. This is tough.
One of their biggest.
I think Carolina is probably better.
One of their biggest problems last year was a lack of pass rush. They just have no one that can get at. I mean, they just got just torched through the air. Deion Jones went down, and they had no answers on that side of the ball.
I think the offense will be humming. I think I need to differentiate from you on a few of these picks. I'll lean over on Atlanta.
Okay, I'll go under. Let's see. That'll do. Who do you have? Obviously, Tampa Bay. You have winning that one?
Correct.
Okay, that's everyone on the NFC side. Let's do who gets the bye? Who's the number 1 seed for you?
Best team, best record in the division is going to be
in the conference. I'm gonna lean because the division's so tough. Not NFC West. I'm gonna go with Tampa. The bye to Tampa. I have their over. I think they're gonna go win 13 or 14 games.
Yeah.
I'll go Tampa gets the bye.
I'll take the Rams.
Okay.
I'll take the Rams.
And then the other 3 division winners, I also have the Rams. Obviously, you have them winning Division 2 with the best record. Then you also have Tampa in the NFC South. Green Bay, and we both have Washington, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All the same teams. Who's your 2 seed? Who's your highest seed playing on Wild Card Weekend?
Tampa Bay.
Okay. Well, before we do that, let's pick a couple wild card teams. How many do we need? 2?
How many teams make it? 6? No. 7?
7 now.
So
there are 3. Wait a second.
1 team gets a bye. 6 other teams. So wait. How's that work? Are we dumb?
Is there 3 wild cards? Am I losing it?
Has to be, I guess, right? I mean, if only 1 team gets a bye, those other 3 teams got to play somebody, But there's 4, yeah. Yeah, there's got to be three byes.
All right, pick your wild card teams in the NFC then.
I'm obviously going to go San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go San Fran. I'll go Dallas. And for my last team, San Fran, Dallas, and I'll go Bears.
San Fran. I'm for sure going San Fran as well as a wild card, the highest ranking wild card team. I'm going to go. I will go with the Chicago Bears, the San Francisco 49ers, and the third team is the Carolina Panthers as my last wild card team.
Okay. Carolina Panthers making the playoffs, you think, huh?
Yep. Last team in.
Ooh.
And then they get absolutely housed by the Rams in round 1 as the highest ranking divisional winner. And I'll have the Washington will have to host a game. They'll host the Bears. And then who am I missing here? Green Bay will play San Francisco.
Okay, so your 2 seed you have as who? The Rams?
Yes.
And then
The
Packers.
3 seeds the Packers. 4 seed as a division winner is Washington. And then the Bears.
Really? You think the Bears will have the best record of all the wild card teams? You think they'll have a better record than San Francisco?
No. San Francisco, then the Bears, then the Panthers. So flip those matchups.
So, so no Dallas for you in the playoffs.
No.
You're out on the boys.
Yeah.
On the CBs.
Mike McCarthy, you fired.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. All right. So we'll have the Rams just beating the brakes off the Panthers in the first round.
Green Bay, Chicago for you in the first round. Fun.
Very fun. Fields,
Rodgers.
We'll go with the Packers.
Rodgers, one more time for old time's sake.
Yeah,
Rip the Bears' hearts out of their
Yeah.
chest.
Yeah, we'll go with the Packers at home against the Bears. Rookie quarterback in his first playoff game, and then we'll go with,
Washington, San Fran.
I'll go with San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's kind of chalky, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tampa Bay is going to beat Chicago. I think Green Bay. Green Bay beats. You know what? I'll pick Dallas to beat Green Bay.
Okay.
And then San Fran to beat Washington. So then Dallas would play the Rams. San Fran would play the Bucks. I would go Rams. I'll go Rams, Bucks, Rams winning the NFC.
I also have the Rams winning the NFC. I'll go division matchup 49ers Rams conference championship. 49ers beat Tampa, and then the Rams beat Green Bay. And then I'll have the Rams representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. Quickly, do you want to do any props on this one, or do you want to save them at the end of the next one? How do you want
Props
to do
in terms of what? Player props?
that? Yeah, any sort of.
I don't really have any good player props. I mean, I have some award props. I think
We'll do
we
award
that
props
in the
at
next one.
the end of the AFC show. So that'll do it for this one?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
Tune in later in the week for the AFC side of the bracket, who will meet the Rams for, I guess, both of us in the Super Bowl. Pick every single win total on that side. But other than that, I think we're done. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.